Okay, I'll call to order our Stokes County Board of Commissioner meeting for Planning and Community Development, Tuesday, December 6, 2022. The first item on our agenda is the invocation, and I'll ask Commissioner Cox if she would lead us in the invocation.
All right, glad to. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we'd like to thank you for all your many blessings. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to do the business for the county. We ask for your wisdom and guidance in our decisions that we make tonight. We ask that you bless us on the way home tonight with all of us with your travel mercies, and it's in your name that we ask these things. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Could I get a motion for
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Next item is public comments, and we've got a few folks that want to speak tonight. The first two names I can't read because the pen didn't write very well. It's from Winston, let me see, 1581. CD Winston Road, Pinnacle.
Oh, I think he thought he had to sign in.
Oh, y'all part of the thing? Okay. Okay, the first two then. The next one is, I think it's Arnold Nelson. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Come forward. You have 4 minutes, so.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Austin is my nephew, so I've known him since he was born. And, he has a vision. And, they say about people without a vision will perish. And I've asked him about, his business plan, showed him 4 ways negative. He shows me 10 positive. He got me convinced. And the lot that he wants to do it on is growing up possum pines. People have come by and dump trash on it, grass clippings, and he cleans it up. And it's going to look much better now. He's got good plans. He's going through the right procedure and everything. And like I say, he's got 2 younger brothers. Austin finished at West Stokes in 11. I watched him play on the golf team in Pinehurst. And middle brother Channing played 4 years at West Stokes soccer. He's a fireman with my fire department. He wants to be part of the business. And Brantley, the youngest son, sibling, he went to early college, and Stokes Early College. He's at UNC Greensboro, and getting his MBA. And he wants to be in with them, as part-time, maybe an accountant or something like that. So I think he has a real good, increase the value 20-fold from what it is and all. And he's already spent a lot of money. And I can't look at it. It's not something like somebody likes or on 24 hours a day, just be most of the daytime. And all I see is positive. I wish I had it one day. I just don't see nothing. And like I say, I have feelings about it. And if anybody's seen anything probably wrong, they don't know his mother, because all he had to do was tell his mother, and he'd be over it. Because he's only probably half a mile away. And I try to look positive. And we got young people now that haven't leave the county for employment. And it's just breath of fresh air to see young people. It's easy to look at the negative. I catch myself doing that, young people, but man, to see ones that's got a vision and want to accomplish and contribute to society and the tax base and things, it's just, I see nothing positive. Of course, I'm prejudiced. But I appreciate your time. Let me talk.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And the next person who's signed up is Michael Armana.
Since I've already signed up, be all right to talk?
Yeah, that's fine, sure.
Well, Austin's my son, and he came to me with this idea. This was family land we had before.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and uncle had, and so I sold my part to Austin. And so he wants to build a shopping center, as you can see. something, he can put stores in, and my middle son, he was wanting to put some kind of flower shop, coffee shop thing in there. You know, Austin's always been a real neat freak. He keeps his house nice. He bought a house when he was, I believe, 20 years old, and he moved out across the road, you know. Keeps his house real neat. He's got a paved driveway, and he's bought some land, and you know, we've cleaned it up. I'm in the grading business. We've cleaned it up. And, you know, he wants it real nice. We've sowed grass, and this will be the same way. We've cleared it off to begin with, and we've moved some old storage trailers that was on it, moved those off. People have been dumping trash out there. Had all those old possum pines, loblollies on it. We cleaned it off. We put settlement pond in there. We fixed the ditch where all the water's running to the settlement pond and easing out the pond. So there's already some erosion control issues, I mean, not issues, or in place on this, because that came up at the last meeting.
Okay.
And so when it gets done with this, I mean, you know, sure, it'll be asphalt on that one side, but, you know, there'll be grass on the other side. We're going to make this thing neat, and we're going to abide by the rules. Whatever, you know, is told for us to do, we're going to do. We're going to run a neat place. Like Arnold said, you know, I'm a little bit prejudiced. You know, he's my son, but he does have a vision, and he does keep things neat. And so, you know, hopefully, you'll see it, you know, approve it, and everything will go all right. So. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Hey, our next speaker signed up is Robert Griffin.
Yes, I live 3046 North Old 52 Road. And I said at the last meeting, I've known Norman and Sandra Lynch. And the three boys for 20 years, and I think the world of them. I think they're a great family. And I sort of hate being up here to oppose their project, but I have some questions about the proposal to build a 10,000 square foot building in Pinnacle on North Carolina 52. The health department, in the last meeting we had, the health department said that they could be 8 to 12 people working in this entire 10,000 square foot building. And let's go with the maximum, 12 people. Could work in an entire building, and that is because the land would not perk properly or real good. They got a company from Raleigh to make it perk. Anyway, Austin wants to build 5 units, each with 2,000 square feet, which means 2.4 people per 2,000 square feet. My house is 2,000 square feet, and it's pretty big, and I don't know how 2 or 3 people could use 2,000 square feet for a business. That's a lot of yardage feet for 2 or 3 people. So he's got 5 businesses here. What if happens if one of the business grows and needs more people? Do those new employees go somewhere else to use the bathroom? Because we're already at 12 people for the entire building. Who monitors 12 people in this building? Probably nobody. So, do we build and forget the max of 12 people? And then let the septic system explode? This is the thing that the community has in its favor. It has a real good health department what would look after this if something did happen to the suspect septic system. Another thing is the building and the paved parking. That covers a lot of earth, which now takes in rain. It won't take in rain, so there's going to be a lot of runoff. Austin said it'll have a sediment pond. Well, I'm familiar with sediment ponds, as I've had his dad clean out two for me. Austin also said he got a good sum of money for this piece of property. But it's not the community's problem that he gave good money for property that has trouble with a perk. At the last meeting, Austin also said that no plans or actual renters were lined up. Now that's pretty, I don't know, no plans at all, and he's got 5 businesses, 5 buildings, 2,000 square feet, all together, and he has no plans, no renters. When he signs a lease with someone, is he going to have an agreement in the lease? 2.4 people, maximum? Are they going to agree to that? Austin has a side gig, which he admitted to, of reselling hemp gummies. He has a brother, Brantley, who is a production supervisor in this company. His brother wants to build have a coffee shop in this building, which probably wouldn't work because it's too much water. But what do we want? Does he want a hemp gummy coffee shop? Okay, can I say one more sentence?
Yeah, you can wrap up. Go ahead and wrap
One more
up.
sentence?
Sure. Mhm.
How often do you see a 5-business strip mall? 5-business strip mall. A limit of 8 to 12 employees for the entire unit. Thank you.
Thank you. The last person we have signed up is Nita Callahan.
Well, I don't know them, I'm not related to anybody, so I can say whatever I want. We live at 3246 North Old 52. Our neighbor Ed could not be here tonight. He has a sick dog. His property is directly across from where Austin wants to put this building. Even before some of this land was cleared, that area would hold water. And one of my big concerns is all this water, sewage, whatever is going to come runoff is going to come across the road or under the road is actually what it does, and go into Ed's pond, and then it will go into Bob and Libby's pond. And they have horses. We all walk together through the woods and get along real well there. So that is a concern. My other concern is the speed limit there. It's right, the road starts to curve there, and so the speed limit goes in Pinnacle from 45, and at that point it is 55. And when they get in front of our house, they're gunning it. So if they're coming from the other way and people are gunning it and somebody's making a left turn into this shopping center, then I'm just really afraid there's always accidents there. And I know at the last meeting, planning board, somebody said, well, people are always going to speed. And that's true, but I think it's at least to be a consideration. My other thing is we did not hear this plan that Austin has. From looking online, he's got Austin Lynch Logistics, which I guess is a trucking company, and then he has Pilot Mountain Hemp Company, and then an online site that has his phone number associated with it, Pilot Mountain Cannabis. And CBD, I know CBD is a legal substance. I know people that get to my age, you know, anything you can do for arthritis, you're looking to do. So I know that there are people that use CBD salve and maybe even CBD gummies. But on Austin's website, these gummies look like they are targeting children. They're in fancy colors, gummy worms, gummy rings, brightly colored things. So is this what he's going to be doing in this area? We don't know. I think as neighbors, we have a right to know what is going to be going on right in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public comment section. We'll now move to the public hearing, and I'll ask our planning director, David Sutter, to come up and give his presentation.
Well, did he have his line? I mean, is Austin would want to speak on the public comment section?
Yeah, we got time to add you if you want to do that.
First of all, I have two brothers, and the brother that Bob mentioned is not the same brother. Channing is my other brother that wants to rent a spot. So I've got some stuff wrote down here. It's short. I'm planning on developing a small shopping center in Pinnacle on Old 52, and I'd like to go over a few reasons why I think it would be beneficial to the town of Pinnacle and Stokes County as a whole. First of all, it would generate a large amount of tax revenue for the county in the form of sales tax and property taxes. The current tax value of the property as it sits now is $49,000. After completing the shopping center, the value of the property will be in the range of $1 million to $1.2 million. The increased property taxes combined with sales taxes from the businesses located there will generate revenue to help fund Stokes County schools and emergency services. I believe the location would be excellent for a shopping center. There's good visibility in both directions and light traffic. The site averages 5,800 cars per day, which during daylight hours works out to about 6 cars per minute. And I have some pictures. Someone said that it was in a blind curve, and they said that last time, so I brought some pictures here to show you that it is not in a blind curve. The shopping center will consist of 5 sections. I own an over-the-road trailer rental business, and I will be using one of the spaces for my office. My brother wants to use one of the spaces for an ice cream and coffee shop. The other 3 spaces will be rented out to retail businesses. These businesses could include clothing stores, real estate offices, attorneys' offices, antique stores, furniture stores, flower shops, etc. I believe this project would have a positive effect on the community of Pinnacle and Stokes County. There would be more taxes collected and more business in the county. And I can show you some pictures. I have an erosion control plan. This is the shopping center, and we've made ditches that flow into a settlement pond on the end of the property. This will be sown in grass, so there's not going to be any issues with erosion. There's mud going into anybody's pond or anything like that. That's the entrance of the property.
Actually, when we get in the presentation, we can look at them closer if we need to then.
This is the supposed blind curve that she's talking about. And as you can see,
it was a blind curve.
this car is at least...
Okay, we don't need you to speak anymore, okay? You've had your turn. Go ahead.
This car is at least a quarter of a mile away. All right. And this is the other side. As you can see about a half a mile in that direction. And I can pass these pictures around if you'd like.
Okay, I see them fine. Y'all see them okay?
Yeah, we can see them.
That's all I've got to say.
Okay, good. Now we'll have David come up, if you would, David, and give your presentation.
Well, maybe I can clarify a few things that were stated. But to get into the staff report, you all have your agenda package. You have a site plan that was submitted by the applicant. And the request is by the applicant, Austin Lynch, to rezone approximately 3.96 acres from residential and agricultural to highway business conditional zone for retail sales and services. As stated, this would be a strip shopping center with 5 offices. Property is located on the west side of North Old 52, approximately a quarter-mile north of intersection of North Old 52 and Old Winston Road. This property is not located in a flood hazard area. It is not in a watershed district. It's outside of the zone of any flood area. Septic, it was mentioned that they hired somebody to get the septic approved. They hired a soil scientist who found suitable soil on the property, as did the Stokes County Environmental Health Department on a previous proposal, just to take a look at it that Mr. Lynch had done originally just to determine if there was suitable soil on the property. So you don't manufacture a suitable site. There was a question about septic. Well, the ones that have been on the board, you know that septic is, sewage disposal is a big issue in Stokes County. With the lack of public infrastructure, we're limited to what a piece of property can be developed by the subsurface sewage system, your septic systems. But in this case, they found suitable area. Now, how this is maintained, I guess I'll just jump into that when we're talking about the sewage. We do have an environmental health department, and I'm also inspections. As far as number of employees, you are written a permit, which is basically what you have to adhere to. There are many things, and just give you an example, retail stores that have that square footage, you may only have 1 or 2 employees working at any given time. Restrooms are not necessarily open to the public. So even though you have customers coming in, again, based on that, I'll give you an example of Family Dollar, Dollar General. Sometimes you got 1 or 2 people working in the store, 9 to 10,000 square foot. And they have, many of those areas, as you all well know, they have limited septic availability, and that's why you find them in rural areas. They actually have special legislation for that type of septic system. But just to reiterate, the septic system is approved, and it is based on 2 employees. But if you had spots that it was just storage, then you could put another employee somewhere else. You have a maximum number of employees. And these things will regulate themselves if you have something that uses too much water. And it does have to go through approval, but anything that is in retail sales, and just look at any shopping area, could be anything. Sonia, you in your business use a tremendous amount of water. There will not be, that would not be an acceptable use because of the water usage there would be a problem. I think I told Austin, potentially a coffee shop would be a problem. Now, ice cream, things like that might not be, but those are things that you would look at because if they come to us, you would go to the health department. Okay, is this going to fit into what you're talking about? So that is kind of how the protection works on it. And then hopefully the system's functioning. But, I can't say that every system is put in the ground will function properly. Sometimes you have a water leak and it'll cause it to overflow. They do recover sometimes. But the theory is, the science is behind it. There is mechanisms to monitor it. So the uses are controlled based on that permit that has been issued for this. There are limitations to what this property could be utilized for. I was thinking more in the office type space, but it could, many things that Austin mentioned would be available if approved. It's retail sales and services. All right, the emergency services come from Pinnacle, Volunteer Fire Department, EMS. The erosion control is applicable at a time of construction if more than 1 acre of land is disturbed. There will be, because it's a commercial project, there will have to be civil drawings put in for erosion control. Well, I happen to know Norman, and I know that was his business for years, and so I'm not concerned. We're not going to allow water to be coming over the highway. Department of Transportation won't allow that. We deal with that periodically, and DOT, they keep their, if there's water issues, somebody's going to fix it. So I would not be overly concerned about the parking area. There's impervious surface areas. They'll meet those requirements for the parking. That would include even gravel. They have to have at least 1 paved parking spot for the handicap accessibility van accessible. That's through the building code. We do a lot of projects, and if erosion issues or water runoff is a problem, that is covered in part of the construction process. You just can't run water off of your property onto the road or somebody else's property at their detriment. Access, the applicant has applied with DOT. Currently, will DOT have to approve a commercial driveway access no matter what this board does. And they determined based on past cases, looking at speed limits, that these roads are somewhat underutilized, even though if you live there, and when I was putting the sign up, a lot of traffic, and I agree with them, they come flying down sometimes, but I can say that about just about any other, major road that we have in the county. And Old 52 is one of our major thoroughfare roads that, connects Pilot Mountain, or I guess all from Pilot Mountain all the way to King. So yes, there is traffic, but DOT will look at it, and before they issue that driveway permit, they'll consider all those factors, sight distances and speed limit. That's up to DOT. Our ordinance requires them that they apply for that, but if we have a project that can't get a DOT driveway permit, the project dies. As was stated, this average annual daily traffic count, the closest numbers I could get was 5,800 around the High Bridge Road area, and more what I consider, I always refer to Pinnacle as a town, even though it's unincorporated. But if you're familiar with this area between Pinnacle and Pilot Mountain, there are mixed development all the way on the road, all the way back to King. From residential, agricultural, vacant land to some commercial activity. This would be considered part of that kind of commercial node within the Pinnacle area. That's 5,800 day vehicles, as I think I told you at the last meeting for the ones that, since you're new here. That data comes from DOT and is a little bit dated, but they stated because of the pandemic, these numbers are still rather accurate because traffic flows, the studies they would have in 220 and 221, people didn't drive as much because they weren't on the road. So they feel like these are accurate numbers when I talk to the DOT engineers concerning these traffic studies about a previous rezoning petition. That's a lot of vehicles, but again, if you know the highway, that's pretty standard. This is not one of your secondary side roads. This is a pathway. Thus, why you would have retail type and commercial businesses on a road where you have traffic to generate business. Again, there's mixed land use up and down the road, and I'm assuming everybody who knows this area has been up and down this road a few times in their past, so I'm not going to try to describe it. As always, there were some issues. I think traffic was brought ahead. There was concerns. I got one question: was this going to be a Dollar General? This was not going to be a Dollar General. It doesn't really fit that model. But there are issues to consider in all rezonings. The following are from a planning perspective concerning the proposed request. Location on road with mixed uses, residential, agricultural, and commercial properties. Potential tax base increase due to commercial property. Potential sales tax increase from any retail sales. Potential employment opportunities. Obviously, that may be limited, but their job's a job. Support of county's business-friendly objective. Need of potential office space and services provided. Increased traffic in the vicinity of the proposal. And then the community impact and acceptance. These are things that can always be considered. And I also would remind the board this is a conditional zoning request. In a conditional zoning request, if there's particular things that you see that can be enhanced in their proposal or their site plan, there's no specific buffering requirements, there's no specific lighting requirements for that. But if these are issues that are of concern, those can be discussed with the applicant and agreed upon if there's some things that you think might, if you feel this is an appropriate use in the area, might make this a better product in the end for the community. Again, from the staff comments, and those would come from me, because of the mixed land use in the area, there is residential, there is commercial in the area. I think this area, based on looking at the law with what can be corrected, I've heard this about water ponding. Typically, when you did construction and development, you solve some of these issues, so you don't have a vacant piece of property that becomes holding water. It had brought trash. I actually talked to Austin. He contacted me one time in a panic because we told him we needed those containers moved out. And these are the sorts of things that we're looking at. So we are out monitoring these areas. In general, vacant property, it's from a planning standpoint, we'd like to see development happen, and commercial development would enhance our tax base. So we feel like this is an appropriate location, given all the factors that are involved, that this would be an okay location for this small retail shopping area. The size of it would be, again, based on the soil scientist reports. It's an engineer type option that they're going with. So this will be designed to fit the building they're proposing. That was a lot of confusing originally about the septic. And if you have any questions, I've gone through it with Brandon Joyce and read over it. I'll try to answer anything you have concerning the septic. But there is available septic. It's suitable for what they're proposing. All right, the planning board recommended by a vote of 7-0 to recommend approval of rezoning request 221196 to rezone the 3.96 acres from RA to highway business conditional zone for retail sales and business. The board felt the proposal was consistent with the Stokes 2035 plan and was a reasonable request for the area. Now, the rest of it is concerning the statements of consistency and reasonableness for the new members. Any motions that are made, for or against, need to be made in conjunction with it is or it is not consistent with the Stokes 2035 plan, or it is or is not a reasonable request. There you have the information from the public information meeting. The minutes were included. Again, the applicant is here to answer any questions on that behalf. Do you have any questions for me concerning this?
Okay, board, who would like to ask David questions? You want to start, Sonia?
Got something that came to my mind. Where does just out of curiosity, it's not really pertinent to their request, but where does the sewer coming out of King end, coming toward Pinnacle?
Sonny, I don't actually
Yeah.
know, but it doesn't
How far
go
up?
too far out. Now, the water system in Pinnacle goes on.
All the way.
The sewer system, I can tell you, the only part that I really deal with sewer in King is the farm subdivision. They run it out Meadowbrook that way. It doesn't go too far out.
Mm-hmm.
But the water system, of course, has been there for years, and it goes well into Pinnacle.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We're, in this particular location, we're a long way from it.
Yeah, probably so. But that's one thing to consider in the future would be, because how we've been able to get some state grants to extend the water and sewer into meadows in the future for economic development, it might be a good thing to ask Kyle Hall about doing something toward Pinnacle.
Exactly.
You know, it just came into my mind. But this is up past Bowles Hardware and all that, and I remember there were some containers sitting there where some land had been cleared, and then there's like some houses that start after that.
Yeah, there's
Right.
There's a real nice home across from this property, fenced. You don't really see the home. It's above it. So
Okay.
they're very nice
Yeah.
properties. It's scattered. It's much like most of Stokes County. A lot of scattered type development. But it is kind of within that Pinnacle business node. When you consider Pinnacle, people, whatever you think Pinnacle is, there's a part, the old Pinnacle part, which was the old planted color community. And then you have Perch Road area, which you have the mixed development up and down back to 52,
Right.
and just slightly over on 52. But the development does scatter itself in this county. There's really no option for it. This is where you find buildings like the gentleman described, where you have a building that would have limited employees, because it just doesn't have the septic systems. But there are many businesses in the community that don't have a lot of employees, but may have some square footage to go with it.
My other question is what you mentioned about DOT. Is there a possibility they could look at that and request a turning lane because of the volume of traffic there?
They can, but if you recall in our last meeting, when that was on a much busier highway, they didn't consider that as a threshold. And I had been told for years, and even though, again, it's your personal opinion, when I'm sitting on the side of the road trying to put a sign up or pull out, and I got cars zipping by me, you consider it very busy. But DOT looks at it from their statistical information, and typically they don't see that as a need, unless, they just don't see that based on accidents, based on the daily traffic. Now, as stated before, you can request that is a study to be determined before you make a decision, if you like, to get DOT's input on that. Do you think a turn lane is necessary? I don't know that that straight stretch, and again, I'm not from there, I don't know that there's any particularly more accidents there. Typically, you have the accidents there, I would say more so, I would think so, like Perch Road coming out the old 52. That intersection, trying to pull out sometimes is really difficult. But in this area is more of a straight pattern. And again, it would be a turnoff. It's like the residential driveways. You're not paying attention and people speed.
Well, that's true.
Nothing,
Lots of driveways to turn into.
and that's all over the county. We just don't
Yeah,
have areas that
exactly.
are not typically, the roads are accessed directly off of whatever roads we have.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Wood, do you have questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Chandler, do you have comments or questions?
So what was the traffic count again?
5,800 there at High Beach Road, that's more on down closer. You're coming down a quarter, three-quarter mile into Pinnacle.
So with that, I mean, the anticipation of the volume of business, I mean, do you think it's going to increase the traffic to the extent of that much of a higher volume of traffic in relation to the possibility of having traffic accidents?
Well, there was a question of what type of business. There is a section in our ordinance in general retail sales and services. Well, there's other things that it has to fit into those categories. But if we were talking about a restaurant, that might be something you would consider different. You would have more traffic based on whether they're breakfast, lunch, supper. More type retail sales, this again, not being high-end or the Dollar General type retail sales. Typically, office spaces don't necessarily, but again, it's according to what they put in there, whether something that somebody wants to stop at. An ice cream shop, yeah, you're going to have traffic. I don't know that it would increase traffic enough because I couldn't tell you yay or nay whether it will or not because I don't know exactly what's going in there. It just has to fit into that retail sales and services category that we have in our ordinance. And all those things are legitimate uses that the ordinance says that you should have in these districts.
Yeah, my point is, based on, what I've heard, I don't think it's going to, the level of traffic, I don't think is going to increase that dramatically to where, the volume of traffic accidents or the severity of traffic accidents is going to be a factor. Second question is, on that stretch within, let's say within 5 or 6 miles of the proposed business, are there other businesses?
Oh, yeah. There's multiple businesses in the Pinnacle area, and then when you get on into Pilot Mountain, I can count them in Pilot Mountain, there's 7 or 8 different zone business districts within a half a mile.
They're all on septic tank, right?
Yeah. This is the old part of Pinnacle. Harold Bowles owned a whole lot of Pinnacle, and there was a whole lot of commercial. There was a grocery store. His brother had the hardware store. There are other business districts. There's a garage down from it. There is a motorcycle shop, Chester Walls up above it. There's different business. There's scattered businesses, but in Pinnacle proper, that's where that business goes. And it expands outside of what the unincorporated Pinnacle community would be. But it basically could stretch all the way to Pilot Mountain, and then you start that same pattern over again when you get into the town of Pilot Mountain.
So my last question is, if I understood right, the plaintiff, y'all live in the area, right?
Yeah, I live about a half a mile away.
So I would think in my mind, if we're not looking at a business owner that's living across the county or living in Forsyth County and just opening a business in Stokes, I would think that the family or the person that's owning the business and also lives there would have a pretty vested interest in making sure that the environment was taken care of and that the rules and regulations are followed. Thank you.
Commissioner Mendenhall?
Yeah, just 1 or 2 quick questions. I'm very familiar with this area, gone up that road many times. Just out of curiosity, how far approximately is that from the Surrey County line when you hit that? from where you're talking about? I've been up there hundreds of times, but I don't really know.
2 miles.
A couple miles from the Surrey County line where it hits Surrey. Okay. And do you have any, you talked about some of the possible businesses that you would have in the area. Do you foresee a problem with filling up the shopping center with 5 businesses? Do you foresee a problem of pulling in businesses?
I don't think so. I mean, I've already, like I said in my speech, but I'm going to use one of the spaces.
Right.
Myself, my brother wants to use one for an ice cream shop if it's possible. And then the other 3, I really don't think it'd be hard to rent out 3 shops on that stretch of road.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I'm very familiar with it, know where it is.
I don't think it'd be an issue.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Just a few comments, David, and questions from myself. First of all, as far as the turn lane and so forth goes, when DOT looks at driveway permits, they take all that into consideration, don't
They
they?
would look at the traffic count, and if
And
they
the
had
traffic flow and everything.
information, all, they would put that in there.
So if it's unsafe, they wouldn't approve it.
Yes, I mean, that's
Okay.
DOT's, the
Okay.
traffic engineers, that's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. It also fits into it does fit into our retail sales category that you talked about a few minutes ago in our ordinance, correct?
Yes, and talking to Austin initially, the offices and the different things he mentioned, and that was before I knew all the septic issues. We were talking about things, and that's the only things you could put in there. That, you couldn't put a manufacturing operation in this highway business district.
Okay.
It is for certain things, and it needs to be in compliance. Like I said, there are certain requirements for every business that comes in. So septic employees, so if you got somebody there coming in there and they got 7 employees, well, this business is just not going to work. That's why we'd have to go over and the health department would come and talk to them, say, look, if you got 7 employees, then you're going to have to have some vacant spots.
Yeah. Okay, and the septic's all checked out on it, both of the soil scientists and our department here locally. I don't have a concern about their ability to enforce their permits and so forth. That's what they do every day and do with many, many other businesses in the county. I recognize it has some limitations, but most of the businesses that we approve here have various limitations, so that's really nothing I don't think to be overly concerned about. We do need new businesses. I mean, that's what we advertise as we go out and campaign and try to reduce property taxes. That's one of the things that everybody tries to assure the public we will do is have as much business tax generated as we can to help offset the increases that might be required for property tax, or individual property tax. So new businesses are a good thing for the county. Like you said, there are similar businesses already in the area. I think Commissioner Chandler made a good point about the folks that are going to live there with it, and they wouldn't mess it up if they're going to live there. So it sounds to me like, just looking at it, it's a major improvement to that property versus sitting there like it is now. So, and then the planning board was unanimous, right, in approval. Your department recommends approval. And the last thing I had, what do you call it, the meeting, the public information meeting, looked like only one person attended that, and they had some questions, but didn't sound like any major concerns from what we were given. Is that correct?
He asked if I was going to put a bar there. I said no, and he said he's fine.
Okay.
That's all he said for public information.
Okay, good. Okay, that's all I have then. So our next step is to, I guess, get a motion.
Be glad to make a motion.
Okay,
Mr.
and,
Chairman.
okay, and there's a template here if you want to follow it.
Yep, I've got it.
You got it
Yes,
already?
sir.
Okay.
After 7 years, I've about got this down.
I still need the template myself.
I see. Make a motion to approve rezoning request number 22-1196 submitted by Austin Lynch to rezone 3.96 acres from RA residential agriculture to HBCZ highway business conditional zone. For retail sales and service, the request is consistent with the Stokes 2035 comprehensive plan and is a reasonable request.
Second the motion.
2 seconds, you got one of them. Either one will do.
Glad to see somebody local doing something.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion before we take a vote? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, request passes unanimously. I think we have one other item of business. You're going to do a planning update, David, for us, a planning department update. Is that correct, or?
Yeah, give me 1 second, I'll write this down.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, no problem.
Okay.
I lived up there for 13 years since all Harold Moses mess.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, just
What's that noise? Where's that coming from?
Just hitting that mic.
Oh, okay.
Somebody saw
We had a mouse in there.
we don't do this in the planning board, right, Keith?
We're-
Everybody got a big mouth. No, the planning updates is just to let you know that we're back to a full staff. I appreciate the board's action. Jeff Booth has come in. His levels are coming back to him. We've already sent him to some continuing ed. So we should be getting back to the more normal inspection schedule of trying to get everything that day or the next day. We're still, everybody's still learning. We got people in training. My new zoning enforcement officer, Woody Jones, here, ex-law enforcement, he is fit in. He is everything I'm not. He is calm and collective and cool. He is exactly what I needed to keep me out of the field. And I tell him I appreciate that every day, but things are getting back to normal. And again, I appreciate the board that, unusual times and things are being done that I never thought I'd see done, but we're still able to make it every day, and I do appreciate it.
Have you filled all your slots on the planning board?
No, because I needed you to get sworn in. So remember, tomorrow we need to fill his slot. I figure we can find anybody to replace you, Keith.
Well, that's right.
Okay, unless we have any further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned.
All right.
Is the camera on?